Hi, everyone. It's Kate. Welcome to today's show where we're going to be talking about disconnecting from the office. So if you are one of our regular attendees on these shows, you are probably someone who's fairly ambitious, successful on paper. Your job looks amazing. The life that you've crafted for yourself looks amazing. However, it's not feeling really amazing. In fact, for a lot of us highly successful women, a lot of times it feels like other people are living our life for us because we have outsourced everything, including time with our family, to other people. And that doesn't feel so good. Or we have a long to-do list that never seems like it gets done, including our health. And a lot of times we are struggling with different sort of health conditions, whether it's just your weight, autoimmune, stress-related, anxiety. And yeah, life looks really good on paper, but it doesn't feel so good, right? It doesn't feel good to be unhealthy. That's a pretty big cost to keep a career. It doesn't feel good when someone else is taking the kids to all the play dates and you can't join in. That's too big a cost for a career. So what I want to talk about is how to disconnect today and why that can be so difficult when you have a high level, high stress, high in demand job. I get it. So for the majority of my career, I was someone who was always available, let's just say, to the firm. If the firm needed me, I would put my personal life into the blender in order to show up for the firm. So if there was a last minute meeting, Kate was there. If there was a business trip, I was on the airplane, even though that meant, I had to, do all these things with kids and animals and partners and things like that, cause stress to them. If there was a last minute assignment that nobody was willing to take, Kate would grab it, do the tough stuff. So for a really, really long time in my career, one of the ways I built my success and one of the reasons I was in demand and people promoted me and all the good stuff was I just did whatever it took at all times, even though it was making a cost or a sacrifice. I always asked my family and my personal life, my health, those were the areas where I made the compromises. I didn't ever make the compromise at work, or very, very rarely, right? I'm not saying that I never did. Sure, there were times where I was like, I need a vacation, or I got to skip that business trip. So it wasn't like I was completely blind to, delegating or saying no and having some boundaries, but that was the exception versus the rule. Do you know what I mean? So what I want you to think about when you start thinking about disconnecting is there's really three ways that you need to disconnect. The first one is pretty obvious. Physically, we need to physically leave our place of work. Like we need to physically, if you have a home office like I do, then you have to be able to say, that room is off limits at certain times in my life. I close the door. I don't go in there. I have to physically leave the room. Obviously, if you work in the office, you're coming home. You work at a hospital, you're coming home. So you need to disconnect from that space physically. We also think of physical disconnection as disconnecting from the device. So if, a lot of people will have two different phones. This is my work phone. This is my personal phone. So the work phone, you hide in, under the bed or something like that, or you leave the laptop in the car. Sure, that can work. So physical disconnection is one thing, but that's not usually the problem most of us have. Like most of us at some point go home and at some point, it's a little hard to disconnect from the phone, but that's not really it either, because the bigger pieces is being able to mentally disconnect. That's number two. Okay. So mentally disconnect means you're not thinking about work. Okay. So you came home, you put your cell phone on the little cradle, whatever, to energize it. And you plug in your cell phone and you go and you sit and you're watching a movie with your family. Okay, cool. Totally fine. So mentally now, are you disconnected, or are you sitting there watching that movie going, oh, forgot to send that email to so-and-so. I know what we should put in the presentation. That would be killer. We're missing that piece. Gosh, I don't know about my team member. I really think I need to have a conversation with them. Do you know what I mean? Like you've disconnected physically in every way. You're not at the office. The phone's in the charging cradle. And you're sitting there watching a movie with the fam, and where's your mind? You're thinking about work. So you have to mentally disconnect, where you're watching the movie and you're like, oh, that's so funny. Oh, that's horrifying, or whatever the movie. Like you have to pay attention to the movie, ladies. You know what I mean? Okay. And then the third thing is emotional. And this is the piece that's really key. And it doesn't get a lot of press. Okay. So think about this. You come home, phone's in the charging cradle. You're watching a movie. You're actually watching the movie. You're like, oh, scary monster. Or, oh, funny movie. You're sitting next to your partner, your kiddos, whatever you got. But underneath, you're kind of unsettled, a little anxious, a little jumpy, a little too sharp. My husband would be like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, nothing. He's like, yeah, something's wrong. No. Are you watching the movie? Yeah, I can tell you every line they just said. I'm in it. But then emotionally, you're still feeling anxious, a little bit of imposter syndrome, a little bit of just that low level anxiety that just kind of follows a high stress job. Do you know what I mean? You're still emotionally attached to work because the emotional attachment is something bad's getting ready to happen. Might have left something at the office, might have not done that exactly right. And you're not thinking about it anymore. You have managed to mentally disconnect, but emotionally have to disconnect. And what happens if you don't have all three? You will burn out. Why? Because your body can only take so much. Your biology can only take so much. At some point, all that low-level stress is going to be like, I'm done. Now it's high-level stress. And now that low-level anxiety is high-level anxiety. And now I'm anxious all the time. And now you start to be paranoid. Now you start to get burnout. Now you start to be apathetic. Now you start to dream and delusional of being in a car accident so you could lay down in a hospital for a week and have a rest. Like, that's what your biology will eventually do. Your biology will eventually go, hello, you're not giving me the break I need. And if you don't give me the break I need, in order to make sure that you are a living person, to keep you alive, I'm going to start creating the break. You'll start having physical breakdowns, headaches, migraines, all the stuff. Okay. Racing heart arrhythmias. Because emotionally you're still connected to work. What? I know. You thought you could just shove your cell phone in your bag, sister, and that was all it was. The goal is this, and this is what I tell every client we work with them. I want you to understand the art of disconnection and the science so well that you can come home right after someone has said, we're losing millions of dollars. We have to figure this out. Right after someone says the project's gone to hell in a handbasket. And I want you to be able to go, got it. To take and to determine whether or not you really need to be at work to solve it. But say, everyone agrees we're going to handle it first thing in the morning. I want you to be able to take your cell phone, put it on the kitchen counter, and walk past that cell phone and be like, you know what? That's tomorrow's problem. Because tonight I'm watching a movie and it's going to be fine. Let's watch a movie, honey. Who's making popcorn? That is a life well lived. That is disconnecting from stress. Disconnecting from stress is not putting your cell phone, in the safe and not touching it. And the whole time you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I wonder if I got a cell phone. I wonder if I got a call. I wonder if my boss is calling. I wonder, that's called festering. And that is not what we want. It is also not sitting there trying to watch the movie the whole time thinking those same things. And it's not sitting there watching the movie, enjoying the movie, laughing out loud in the movie, but underneath just sort of physically and you're just feeling out of sorts. That is that emotional piece. And if you do not understand how to solve for 1, 2, 3 effectively meaning that you know how to do it, except for in cases of extreme consequence. Because let's all admit, if something that has never happened before, like, I don't know, whatever, like some horrible thing happens in our world, I think we all can get rocked and go like, okay, never seen this before. This is huge. And yes, you are going to feel a strong and emotional reaction, and you're going to have stress, and you're not going to be able to just necessarily be like, oh, I'm all cool. But when we're talking about your job, which you go to every day, and you've been doing for decades, for God's sakes, even if it's a new position, even if you're new to the C-suite, even if you have to present to the board tomorrow, these should not be the things that ruin your life. I mean, every now and then there's going to be something new, and you're going to have to kind of work to get some experience at it, but it shouldn't be blowing up your personal life until you gain that experience, right? Like, I used to speak a lot in boardrooms. So when I first started, like in sales and then in marketing, most of the sales and marketing was happening one-to-one. And then all of a sudden it was like presenting in front of a client. So a small boardroom, a group of people. So that was kind of scary in the beginning. And there was some anxiety with it. There was some nervousness, some festering, some late night, making sure the presentation was all polished and all that, right? And then once I did that for a while, I was just like, oh, I can present in a boardroom, no big deal. Well, then I got a job where I had to present on stage to thousands of people. Oh, dear Lord, here we go again, right? And so I'm not saying that there's not like moments in life that create some anxiety where you have to gain some experience as well as gain some tools. Like in order for me to be effective on stage, especially speaking to a crowd of thousands where you can't really connect and you've got teleprompters and lights and the thing, like that took, like I had to go take a class. Like I went and invested in learning how to do that better, right? And I think my company even sent me to some stuff. So sometimes you need some additional tools. But my point being is that that's a moment in time. That's not like every day of your life, right? Because once you present a few times in that way, then and you've gotten the tools and you've done what it takes to, emotionally, mentally, and physically know how to do those things to a level of comfort, not confidence, because confidence wanes, but comfort, then they're not a big deal. And that's the exception. The problem is, ladies, is that we are living this way every day. Every day we're trying to prove ourselves that we have a place at the table. Every day we're wondering, how do we navigate our career powerfully? Every day we're wondering if we made a mistake. Every day we're worried about upsetting someone, not upsetting someone, being too aggressive, not being assertive enough. I mean, that's no way to live your life. Like, no wonder you want to step back. That sucks, right? And I did that for 2 decades. I mean, constantly just solving a problem, going to the next problem, juxtaposing here, shifting here, moving this puzzle piece, moving that puzzle piece. I mean, it's fun for a bit, but you need a break. And the thing is if you're not disconnecting powerfully in these 3 ways, physically, mentally, and emotionally, what's going to happen is you're just going to hit a wall and burn out, but you're not going to enjoy the ride. And so then what happens is apathy starts to set in. Like what happened to me is I was like, wow, maybe I should just own a farm. That sounds great. Which every farmer who sees this video is laughing right now because they're like, really? You think this isn't stressful? But it seemed not stressful at the time because I don't know a lot about managing and running a farm, obviously. It just seemed like, oh my gosh, if I could get up every day and just put on a pair of jeans and just go like, play with cows, that just seemed like magic, or I would dream like, maybe I just need to churn butter in the woods. Like that would be awesome. Like I just kept thinking of these things that seemed so much easier. So what's happening is the stress level and this intensity of being constantly physically, mentally, and or emotionally attached to the stress of your work and that performance stress just starts to wear on you. And psychologically, you just start having a break and you start becoming apathetic. I don't really care about this job so much. I've proven all I have to prove. I don't care. This isn't what's important. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money's not important. I know this. What's really important is family, friends, good life. I'll be fine. I don't need this. Been there, done that. I got the star for that one. That's not it. Because then you walk away from something that really is important to you. Now, if it's not, then fine, walk away. But you walk away from something that really is important to you because you have unwittingly allowed yourself to become so worn out emotionally. Your body just has to go like protection, 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 stop caring about this job. And so your body will just start saying, okay, you just have to stop caring about this job. Like, I don't know what to do, sister, because you apparently don't know how to disconnect emotionally from your job. So your biology just starts shutting you down. And that's why you just get apathetic and don't care, and women walk away. And then the whole time we're like, nah, I'm fine. Nah, it's going to be great. No, I'm going to stay home with the kids. It's going to be great. Never done this before. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. I love it. Nah, no big deal. And then if that's not really what you want and you're not moving towards something you want, you're just trying to escape this, like this black hole that you haven't known how to control. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not what you want. And now you're sitting at home with the kids going, oh my God, all my friends are like having these amazing careers and I'm sitting at home with the kids and I love my kids, but like not this much, or whatever it is for you. And again, I'm not saying not to sit home with your kids. Please sit home with your kids. I've been home with my kids. I left my job at one point to stay home with my kids. Please do it. If that's what you want to do. Do it. I'm not saying that you should not stay home with your kids. I'm saying if that's not what you want, then it's not going to get you what you're thinking it's going to get, which is this feeling of peace, this feeling of balance, this feeling of fulfillment, just feeling good. Instead, what you're going to be is resentful or annoyed or yelling at your kids because they're not behaving or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But when you are doing the things in your life that help you feel good and you're able to be present in these moments because you know how to mentally, emotionally, and physically disconnect. Oh, now this is fun, because I think we've all done things too. Like there's been times I've been playing with my kids and I'm like, okay, I'm so I'm so enjoying this. Like, it's just like, you're just getting such flow out of it. You're like, this is the best time in my life. And then there's times when I go to work and the whole time I want to just be with my kids and I'm not even present at my work. right? And so if I don't know how to switch through those modes and how to understand, why am I so emotionally attached to my kids right now? Why am I feeling so guilty for working? I just spent 4 days with them on vacation at the beach, doing everything with them. Why do I feel this way? Why am I having such a hard time detaching from that and moving back into work? If you don't understand that emotional attachment, which by the way, leads back to your needs, which I always talk about, then you're going to be miserable, right? So disconnecting does not just mean disconnecting from the stress at work. It doesn't mean just disconnecting from things that are horrible. It also means learning how to disconnect from things that are quite lovely, which is being with your kids. Sometimes you need to disconnect from that, right? Sometimes we need to say, hey, I got to put this thing over here for a moment so I can go over here and do this thing well, which is going to be so fun. And then it's going to help me come back to this other thing that I love, really feeling fulfilled and juiced and vibrant and alive. And then when I walk in the door to play Legos for the bajillionth time with my boys, I'm like, yeah, let's play Legos. Woo, because mommy's had a great day, whatever, doing these things that really fill you up. But then when you walk in the door, guess what? You're an executive. You're a doctor. You're an attorney. Do you think your job's ever going to be easy? Sorry, not sorry. Like, I don't know if anyone's job is easy, but it's certainly not easy at this leadership level where you have so many things coming at you every day. Your job as a leader is to filter through that, decide what's important, what's less important, and then move forward with decisions, boom, 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 and to be leading a team who's also supporting that same direction. Do you think that's ever going to be easy? No. So if you're waiting for that to be easy so you can disconnect, sister, you're going to have a long wait. And that's why so many women burn out, because we either think it's going to be easy or we just have no idea how to disconnect from it. You can't just disconnect physically. You have to disconnect emotionally and you have to disconnect mentally. You can't be thinking about work and you can't be emotionally tied to work at all times. It is biologically impossible for long periods of time. Your biology will eventually either cause a stress event, cause anxiety, cause apathy. Something will happen where you'll burn out. And that's what so many women do. Who teaches you this stuff? Nobody knows. Guys are burning out too. This isn't just like a girl thing. Like, everybody's burning out. Like, just like open any newspaper. People are like, what? This is crazy to live this way. And it is. It is. But now that you know, you can do something about it, right? Now you know you can start working on emotionally, physically, and mentally disconnecting. And I talk all about it in my free training. So feel free to grab the latest free training, sit down with a pen and paper and take notes. But that is imperative. You have to know how to do that. So if you have been hiding your phone under the bed and you're like, why isn't this working? Well, it's because mentally and emotionally, you're still connected to work. So that's where you really want to work on that. What does it mean that you're with your family instead of at work? What does it mean that there's a big, hairy, scary thing that you're going to have to deal with tomorrow? Yeah. Like, yep. I've got hairy, scary things happening right now. I'm here talking to you. I'm present in the moment. I've got situations to handle that are not fun. But that's what it is to be operating at this level. There's lots of not fun situations. And so what does that mean to you? If you're trying to get rid of them, good luck. They don't go away. I wish. The only thing that goes away is you being able to handle them with ease. So they're no longer a big stressful event. It's like, oh yeah, I got stressful stuff to handle or whatever. I got big, huge, hairy, scary, uncomfortable conversations to have. Okay. Because after this broadcast, I'm going to go have lunch. Or after this broadcast, I'm going to go have dinner. Or after this broadcast, I'm going to go play with my kids. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh my God, I got to make all these horrible things go away. They're not going to go away, because you guys know this, right? Like, the minute you solve a problem, what do you do next? You don't go have a Mai Tai and just relax on the beach. You got a new problem to solve. So let's just enjoy our lives along the way, because the problems aren't going to go away. You're going to keep having them, right? But it's understanding how to move through them in a way that you're not constantly attached to them emotionally and mentally. Does that make sense? Okay, I'll leave it at that. I hope this has helped you. Please go watch more and some of the free training that I put out there. Continue to tune in. I can't wait to see you next time. And for whatever it's worth, please don't burn out. Please don't step away. I mean, obviously do what you need to do to protect your health and your family, but there's another way. There's a new way to work. There's a new way to live, and it ain't the one you grew up with. Okay. And it certainly wasn't the one I grew up with. So if we can help you with that, book a call with our team. Let's get on the phone. We'll chat and we'll just lay it out for you. We'll listen, we'll hear what's going on for you. And the value of the call alone is worth, probably the best 45 minutes you spent in your career in a long time. So just book the call. And if you're, highly successful and you're feeling trapped by all that success, girl, don't. Just book a call. We'll see if you can help you. If we can't,